power, fight down our halo.
What is going on, guys? You got Tone here, bringing you my week 2 match of season 3 of the IBL. We, the Maine Red Clawitzers, are taking on Brendan, the commissioner of the IBL, and his Marlboro Mudsdales in a matchup of between two teams that have coming off wins in their week 1 match. So not really much to say here about my team. As you see, my team is of 11 is at the top with the new additions of Starmie and Nidoqueen over Hippowdon and Blastoise, and my opponent's team of 11 is at the bottom. Some main things to consider here is the fact that the main Pokemon I am worried about the most on his team is not only the Entei, but also the Celesteela, because it walls a good portion of my Mons. And there are also other things to consider when you look at his team, like a potential Choice Scarf, Heracross, and then he has stuff like Crocodile, which can be an issue. Diancie I know full well, as I had it on my team last season. And the other thing, the main thing to know is the fact that his only way of getting up hazards or Stealth Rock, for the most part, is Crocodile and Diancie. He also has Toxic Spikes with the Drapion, but I don't see him bringing T-Spikes or Drapion. It's a possibility, but I just don't see T-Spikes coming because I have a Scolipede and a Nidoqueen, as well as a Spinner in Starmie. And I have a way of beating Drapion with Zoctu if I felt like bringing it, but I didn't. As you see by 6 Pokemon I bring on my side of the field. So I'm just going to jump right into the team and explain it from there. So the first Pokemon you see here is Quetzalcoatl, our Thundurus Therian. Picking up 2 kills in the week 1 win. This time a little bit more freedom here. No Choice Scarf. This time it's Life Orb, Agility, 3 attacks. With Agility, Thunderbolt, HP Ice, and Dark Pulse. It pretty much covers everything on his team for a good portion of damage. Thunderbolt obviously hits the Celesteela. 2 KOs Rhythm Wash depending on TV spread. HP Ice hits the Crocodile for super effective damage, and Dark Pulse hits Latias harder. It hits the Delmise. Pretty much everything else on his team. I'm not really too concerned about stuff like Zebstrika. I don't really see Zebstrika really coming. I mean, it has some matchups, some good, decent matchups, but Nidoqueen, potential Assault Vest Nidoqueen can be a pain to take down. AV Meloetta can be a pain, so I feel like stuff like that will prevent him from bringing Zebstrika. The investment on my Thundurus Therian, it lets me outspeed a max speed Jolly Drapion prior to the agility, and after an agility I outspeed everything on his team, with the exception of stuff like, of course, extreme speed Entei. So that is pretty much the Thundurus Therian. Almost forgot that doggone name. As this is basically going to be one of my cleaners in this matchup. So moving on to Pokemon number 2, we have Navi, our Clefable, running a more offensive tank set this time around, as I could have brought a Calm Mind set, but at the same time I felt as though it didn't really matter. I mean, I could have brought a Calm Mind, but I felt as though he had too many things on his team that can force out my Clefable, especially the Celesteela, Iron Head Entei, Anchor Shot, Delmise. So decided to go a little bit more offensive this time around so I can punish him a little bit harder with my investment. Soft Boiled, Stealth Rock, Moonblast, and Thunderbolt is pretty much all the coverage I need, as Moonblast is Regenerate Stab, and Thunderbolt hits the Celesteela for a good portion of damage depending on his EV spread. Thunderbolt also hits the Rotom Wash decently, but there's also Moonblast. But it also hits Entei harder than Moonblast does, as it is resisted. Max Special Attack, Modest Nature, Rocket and Life Orb for that added bit of power. I could have run Babiri Berry. I might change it before the battle. I will let you guys know. And the 20 speed lets me outspeed 4-speed Celesteela. So I'm sort of creeping I'm creeping 4-speed Celesteela. It was initially uninvested, but figured just go a little bit further in case he runs like a fully specially defensive set that puts 4 in speed. So yeah, just so I can get that little extra bit of damage off. If Celesteela is in a weakened state, Clefable can pick it off. If he's running more speed, then props to him. So this is my way of getting up hazards. I can get up hazards against a good portion of his team, softball for damage, and just click Moonblast and Thunderbolt, wear some stuff down. Nothing really fancy about this. So yeah, that is Clefable. Number 3, we have Adele with Assault Vest once again. This time with Hyper Voice, Side Shock, Shadow Ball, and Thunderbolt. This basically covers everything on his team for at least neutral damage. I kind of wanted to run Dazzling Gleam over Shadow Ball, but I figured wearing down that Delmise would be a lot more effective as opposed to hitting the Crook, as Crocodile's already hit pretty decently by Hyper Voice, so I figured forego that route. Side Shock does the more damage to a potential Assault Vest Kamala. I initially had U-Turn, but me and Techno were talking it over, and we were like, Side Shock will be better. You really can't do much damage to an Assault Vest Kamala or like a especially defensive Kamala with Wish and Rapid Spin. So I foregoed U-Turn, went for Side Shock just to get that extra bit of damage off. Shadow Ball hits the Delmise, the potential Spadef drop is in the air, and Thunderbolt nails the Celesteela. The speed lets me outspeed on my Meloetta outspeeds and Adamant max speed Entei, max special attack, the rest is put in special defense just to bolster its special defense a bit so I can switch in better on stuff like the Rotom Wash and the Latias. So moving on to Pokemon number 4 now, making its debut, we have Kimiko, our Choice Scarf Mian Shell with High Jump Kick, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Stone Edge. Not much else I could run on this set, mainly because I cover everything on his team pretty decently with this particular moveset. I don't really do much damage to Heracross. Aerial Ace, just to hit Heracross and Delmise was kind of a waste of time. I could just knock off both of them and wear them down with residual damage if I could just keep my Stealth Rocks up, so I gotta keep that in mind. Again, the speed is to outspeed Drapion, but since I don't really see Drapion being Scarf, it's more of the Crocodile, but not wanting to take any chances, I do outspeed a Scarf Drapion, as Crocodile is slower. I keep forgetting that. So yeah, max attack and the rest is put in the HP for that added bulk and regenerator over Reckless, so I can get some HP back as I switch out. So now we move on to Pokemon number 5. We have the debut of one of our free agents, Inanna, our Starmie. Rocking a bulky Starmie, Scald, Rapid Spin, Recover, Ice Beam. I had no switch into Entei. I needed a switch into Entei Sacred Fire. This is essentially the best I can do at the moment, or with the team that I drafted, as this allows me to take at least one. This allowed me to take one Sacred Fire from a banded Entei. If I can knock off the Choice Band, it will be a lot easier to take. If he's not banded and he's like a mixed variant or so, that is also a possibility. There's also the issue of if he is like, he could be Z Bloom Doom Entei, he could be Z Gigavolt Havoc, Latias, and his other Zmon is Rotom Wash. He did run offensive Rotom Wash in its week 1 match, and it put in a ton of work. So, I have to be wary of those things when I see either Latias, Entei, or Rotom Wash. But essentially, the speed lets me outspeed a timid max speed Latias. Max HP, the rest is put in defense, so I can switch in better on the Entei. Like I said, if he does bring Z Bloom Doom Entei, then props to him for the prep. So there's not much else I can say about that. If he does bring it, I can try to scout for it, but I can't really switch in safely on Entei. I have to wear that thing down with hazards, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But if he's not banded, it'll be a little bit easier to deal with. But if he is Z Bloom Doom and he's bringing extreme speed, he has to be adamant nature, so the damage will be a little bit less. So that's good to note. And last but not least, for the first time, we are bringing Arnold the Turtonator. Rocking the Grassy MZ, Shell Smash, Fire Blast, Dragon Pulse, and Solar Beam. Initially, I wanted to bring this initially was a defensive Turtonator with Rest, Sleep Talk, Dragon Pulse, and Fire Blast. But then I realized I couldn't touch the Diancie, even though I had other Pokemon that could wear it down. But at the same time, we were like, okay, he doesn't really have much for a Shell Smash Turtonator. If I get the Shell Smash off, and mainly I can get a Shell Smash off on a couple of Pokemon. I get a Shell Smash off on Entei locked into Sacred Fire. Delmise doesn't want to take a Fire Blast. Celesteela, he can Earthquake me, but it won't do that much damage. So yeah, if I can get rid of potential Choice Scarfs on like Crocodile, Heracross, stuff like that, maybe Drapion, this set can put in a ton of work. I'm firing off a Z Bloom Doom on either the Rotom Wash or the Diancie, barring it's not Rindo Berry. And the coverage of Fire Blast plus Dragon Pulse hits everything else on his team. So the speed on Turtonator with Intimidation lets me outspeed a Latias, as it's the fastest Pokemon I care about. Zebstrika is not going to be doing anything to a Turtonator, as it resists Thunderbolt, it resists Overheat. If he runs like let's say Hidden Power Ice for my Thundurus, it doesn't care about that either. Even at -1 defenses, it doesn't matter. So yeah, hopefully Arnold can put some work in its debut for the team. So that is the team I am bringing versus Brendan and his Marlboro Mudsdales. Hope you guys enjoyed the team builder, and without further ado, I'm going to switch over to the battle, so we'll be right back. Alright, so here we are with week number 2, season 3 of the IBL. We're taking on Brendan and his Marlboro Mudsdales. Now, see the team he brings consisting of Rotom Wash, Delmise, Drapion, Heracross, Celesteela, and the Entei. The main thing I noticed about his team, the fact that he did not bring Crocodile, meaning it means a lot, specifically for my Thundurus Therian, just to come in and just spam T-Ball on pretty much everything on his team, because I was really expecting him to bring the Crocodile, and he, for some reason, didn't, because Crocodile actually puts in a ton of work. It pressured my team quite a bit, especially Scarf variants, but you know, I know he has his reasons for bringing the stuff he does. I'm not going to hold that against him. So another thing to note is that Turtonator actually puts in a lot of work, to be perfectly honest, because he doesn't really have a switch into both Fire Blast and Dragon Pulse. So my plan was, at least from a team preview, was set up first with Thundurus and then finish it off with Shell Smash Turtonator in the late game. But as you see, I could have let off with a couple of different options, mainly Scarf Mienshao, but I didn't want to reveal I was Scarf Mienshao to begin with, just in case he decided to be like, just in case he was decided to bring like some I don't know. I could have left with Mienshao, like I said, but at the same time, if he was like a Scarf Rotom, I didn't want to give away that I was Scarf. Or even Scarf Heracross, which I needed to keep relatively healthy because it was another thing I had. I can at least knock off Heracross's Choice Scarf or whatnot. So I assume for the most part that he brought Heracross over Crocodile, assuming it was Choice Scarf. Another thing to note is Crocodile and Diancie were only Stealth Rockers, and I was expecting one or the other, if not both. But the fact that he didn't bring anything means his only way of getting up hazards is the Drapion with Toxic Spikes, which I can spin away eventually with Starmie, and I can Ice Beam the Delmise in the switch. So that being said, I'm just going to lead off with, as you see here, I'll lead off with my Thundurus as he ends up leading off with his Rotom. So as we play the video here, sadly, sadly, things didn't go as I really expected here. So as you see, I lead off with my Thundurus Therian as he leads off with George, his Rotom Wash. So from here, I decided just to see what he's going to do here. So he reveals he's Scarf Rotom. He outspeeds me. I go for Dark Pulse here, expecting him to switch into Delmies. That is a good amount of damage. So I see he is Choice Scarf Rotom. So not wanting to take a Hydro Pump here because I need my Thundurus around. So I go hard into my Starmie here because I know I can take a Hydro Pump. So he finally lands a second Hydro Pump. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. I plan on going for a cover here, but I decided to hard switch out into my Mienshao, thinking he would switch. But it turns out, I was about to, it's been a while, it's been a couple of days. So he goes hard into his Celesteela here, and I know for damn sure that Kimiko cannot take out the Celesteela. So I'm going to go for the U-turn here. There's not really much I could have did there. I now have to think of something that could come in on a heavy slam, and the only thing I had for that was, unfortunately, my Meloetta, because out of everything on my team, it was the most expendable because he didn't bring most of the mons I expected, but luckily for me, I knew I could take at least one, potentially two. So now I'm just going to click T-Bow here as he's going to hard switch into his Entei here. And I'm assuming the reason why, the way he sent an Entei, I'm already assuming it's a Thunderbolt. I'm already assuming it's a Soul Vest here. As you see by that damage, it is absolutely nothing. I don't want to take a Sacred Fire here, but I decided to stay in because, like I said, Meloetta was very expendable in this battle, and I figured getting off as much damage to the Entei was necessary. So I decided to sack off my Meloetta here to the Entei, getting the necessary damage I needed, at least for my Thundurus, or potentially my Shell Smash Turtonator. So here I decided to go into my Starmie, just to try to get off a Scald, but he decides to switch out and he goes directly into his Rotom to take the Scald, which makes perfect sense. So I get the Scald off. I'm not invested in special attack whatsoever, but luckily for me, I do get the burn. Even though with the burn nerf, it does handle the chip damage is very, very nice. So here, I know he's Choice Scarf. I could have been ballsy and went directly into Kimiko, but I went into Clefable here, even though I'm particularly knowing the trick was coming. So here comes the trick. I really wish I went to Mienshao here, because now my Clefable is pretty much useless, as it's not a, but luckily for me, Clefable is an offensive tank Clefable set this time around, not a Calm Mindset. So he's going to hard switch out and go directly into his Entei one more time. So I'm going to click Thunderbolt no matter what. Moonblast would probably have done more, but I mean, probably would have the better play to lock myself into. But if he went Celesteela, then it would have a different story. Thunderbolt does a good amount of, it does a good chunk of damage here. So now I'm going to go back into my Starmie here on a predicted Sacred Fire, as it's my only Entei switch in bar Turtonator, and he unfortunately misses his Sacred Fire here. So he's going to withdraw, and he's going to go back into his Rotom Wash here as I go for another Scald this turn. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't want to take a potential Volt Switch. And I also forgot at this point he tricked away his Scarf, so I made the dumb play and stayed and switched out into my Clefable, knowing that I completely forgot he tricked away his Choice Scarf and he went for Pain Split. So he was basically Scarf Pain Split Rotom Wash, which does suck for me. But since my Clefable is now a Choice Scarf, I have absolutely no need for a Clefable at this point. I'm just gonna get my rocks up here to get some chip damage off on some things. So I was happily fine sacking this thing off as he goes for the Volt Switch. Does a good chunk of damage because his life, he tricked into his Life Orb. So he's going to switch out. He's going to go directly into his Delmies to spin away my Stealth Rocks. So now I made another dumb play because I'm thinking in my mind I can just Stealth Rock indefinitely, but then I forgot I'm faster. So he's going to Rapid Spin away the Stealth Rocks here, and he's basically figuring I'm just going to keep going for Stealth Rocks here, and I'm going to die to Rapid Spin. So that's a losing battle for me. I can save this Death Flower, so I go into the Turtonator on the Rapid Spin. So the smart play here was to go for Fire Blast, but I pulled the trigger too quick and went for Shell Smash, and I'm like, oh crap, I just realized I wasn't supposed to Shell Smash it right now. I was supposed to save it for the late game. And the other bad thing about this play is the fact that I didn't scout for the Delmies' moveset. I assumed it was standard Delmies, and he showed the Rock Slide. I'm like, oh, god damn it, I'm stupid. So fortunately I live, but now I died with Entei Extreme Speed. And he still has rocks off his field. So now he hard switches out of his Delmies and goes into the Rotom to sack it off, essentially. So I go for Fire Blast. And it does a good amount of damage here. Almost gets the kill, but the kill does go to Starmie here as it dies to the burn damage. And I know he's going to go into Entei here just to pick off my my Turtonator. And I'm like, oh man, I should not have set up a Shell Smash whatsoever at all. But fortunately for me, Turtonator does have good use on this team because Rotom Wash was his only fire resist. I figured I can get in, I can switch on something like the Delmies, Fire Blast something. So I decided to sack off my Clefable here to the Entei Extreme Speed. It was Choice Scarf. I had no other play at that point. So now I'm going to go back into my Starmie here. And kind of force him to switch out with a Scald. So he does switch. And he goes into the Celesteela, which was kind of surprising, to say the least. Because if I potentially got a Scald Burn on this, that would have been great for my Thundurus. Unfortunately, I don't get that Scald Burn. I don't see leftovers. So I'm kind of curious of what his item is. So I make the hard read into my Mienshao here. It's probably a dumb thing, but he goes for the Stone Edge here. Probably assuming he doesn't have Thunderbolt on this set. So I'm just going to go for a knockoff here just to get rid of whatever item it is. And it reveals he was Assault Vest. So he was AV Celesteela mostly for my my Thundurus. I do live the Heavy Slam on 5. And now here was a questionable play on his part as he went hard into the Heracross. I had no reason to switch. I could have preserved my Mienshao. I knocked off its Choice Scarf here, and now I'm dumb thinking like if I never shut up with Shell Smash Turtonator so early, this actually won if I got rid of the Entei. So I'm gonna let my Kimiko go down to the Stone Edge from the Heracross. Kimiko didn't really do much, but at the same time it got rid of Celesteela's Assault Vest and Heracross's Choice Scarf, so I can go directly out to my Thundurus here and just click Thunderbolt against his entire team. So I do get the Thunderbolt off, I am Life Orb, and down goes the Heracross. It was kind of scary there because the HP was going down so slow. But Quetzalcoatl gets a 3rd kill for the season. He goes back into his Delmies here. Now I could have stayed in Dark Pulse, but since he revealed Rock Slide, I didn't want to stay in. So I decided to go switch out into my Starmie here on a predicted Rock Slide, which he does go for, and he ends up missing the Rock Slide. So now I get to go for an Ice Beam for free, as his switch-ins were kind of limited, because if he went to Celesteela, I would Scald Burn. I would try to go for Scald. I get a crit, and the crit, I believe, put Delmies in range of the Thunderbolt, not Thunderbolt, in range of Life Orb Dark Pulse from my Thundurus. I do go back into the Turtonator because I knew I could Fire Blast it. I know I'm faster than Delmies. So he decides to go and preserve Delmies and sack off the Celesteela to the Fire Blast. So Turtonator is going to pick up a kill. Unfortunately, it missed. But now I'm thinking, okay, and please tell me I'm faster. So luckily for me, I am still faster than the Celesteela, which probably means he didn't have speed investment. But Turtonator does pick up a kill against an Ultra Beast. Never seen that before. But he does go back into his Entei here. I know he's just going to go for Extreme Speed. No reason to risk Stone Edge or anything like that. So he goes for the Extreme Speed. Down goes the Turtonator. But Turtonator, it got a kill. Although I really wish it got more than one. But that was just a dumb play on my part. And the last one is my Thundurus. And this was the dumb play on my part, because here I went for Dark Pulse, hoping he would switch into Delmies. And it makes matters even worse, he stayed in with Entei, and Entei actually won him the game. But sadly for me, I got a low roll with the Dark Pulse. And I'm going to end up losing this battle 3-0 because of that. Like, I accept the fact that I lost the battle, but it was just my end game was kind of poor, so to speak. So I got too trigger happy with the Terminator Shell Smash sweep. I should have never went for Dark Pulse against the Entei. I should have gotten the guaranteed kill with the Thunderbolt. At least make it at least a 2-0, because I don't know if Drapion could have lived a Thunderbolt depending on his investment. And Delmise was definitely in range of Dark Pulse from my Thundurus, so it's a sad way to lose, especially considering that I had a plan, and unfortunately for me, I got too antsy, and instead of setting up with Thundurus and then sweeping with Turtonator, I kind of did the inverse, and the sad thing is it almost ended up working. But nonetheless, we are 1-1. We are back to 0 in terms of differential. And we play Lynx Fort and the South Florida Bulus in our next matchup. So if you did enjoy the battle nonetheless, hit the like button, free to leave a comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, because there will be more battles like this in the near future. I might try to upload, I know I said in the last video that I would try to upload these battles on Tuesdays, but I might make it Mondays just because it's the beginning of the week. And I already have some other stuff planned, like some other stuff planned with the MPO minors on Thursdays already, and I didn't want to space things too close together. And of course, there's also my other league, the NES, which will be starting back up next week. So all of you guys are hyped for that as well. If you are, like I said, leave a like if you enjoyed this battle nonetheless, even though it is a 3-0 loss. Although I know it could have been closer, but I'll try to correct my mistakes in the near future. But that's gonna be me. That's gonna be it from me. I'm gonna get the heck out of here. And until the next time, I am Anthony, aka Tone. I'm gonna catch you guys on the flip side. Later.